My friends, this is the 4-person Jovian tent from OneTigris, and I'm finally ready to share my review with you all. Without a doubt, this tent here has spawned more emails, comments, messages on social media platforms, more interest than any other product I have ever reviewed. There's not a week that goes by where I do not receive an email or a message asking about this tent. Is it waterproof? Can you recommend it? Well, everyone, I have wrapped up my testing and I'm ready to give you all my agenda-free opinion on this tent. The last component to my testing was the waterproofness and storm testing. The other day, I took this out, set this up, rainstorm after rainstorm after rainstorm, this tent was out there, hour after hour after hour. The winds picked up 30 miles an hour, and yet this tent remained rock solid. This tent went through an excellent storm test. Did it leak? Were there any issues? You will find that out in this episode. My name is Luke. Thank you very much for tuning in. I do appreciate it. And also, thank you all very much for your patience while I tested out this tent. The first thing that we need to do is get some minor points out of the way. This is a review where I'm focusing on the pros and cons, and I'm going to talk about the testing that I've done with this tent. I'm not going to go over every single detail concerning this shelter. If after watching this review you have more questions, check out the preview that I've done concerning this tent. I've gone over every single detail. Everything that you would want to know about this tent is in that episode. As it stands right now, at the time of this review, I've gone out for 7 trips. 6 of those trips, it did not rain. Not a single bit. That's why I had to go out for a dedicated rain test. OneTigris, over the years, has become known for making really good high quality gear as far as like their craftsmanship goes. Very rarely do I ever hear of any sort of issues as far as materials ripping, loose threads, poor stitches, or anything like that. With this tent here, this is a very well made shelter. The stitch work is perfect, there's no loose threads, the seam tape is excellent, and there's no problems that I can report. Since we're talking about the construction of this tent, we should talk about the materials. This is through and through a car camping tent, a truck camping tent, an overlanding tent. Because of that, the materials, they make sense. The company went with a polyester. By using a polyester fabric, this has allowed OneTigris to do numerous things. First off, they kept the price down. Second, the materials do not stretch, which is a big benefit, especially in wet environments. Additionally, this material does very well out in the sun. It is very much UV resistant. No tent wants to be out in the sun long term, but for short periods of time, you will have no issues here. Another positive for this tent is that everything that you need to set it up is included, including a footprint. Next, everyone, let's talk about the setup process. Getting this set up is no big mystery, it's no big deal, it is super simple. One person can have this set up in less than 10 minutes, even faster with 2 people. It's not complicated, there's nothing that's going to trip you up. Everything here makes sense. Concerning the design of this shelter, OneTigris has done an exceptional job. This is a very well thought out tent through and through. On the inside, you have plenty of pockets, organization options, hooks for hanging. On the outside, the fly here works perfectly with this tent. All of the stakeout points are adjustable. They have shock cord. The high tension points have been reinforced. We have storm flaps over the zippers. The tent has 4 guy lines and they're in all the right spots, specifically in the corners. Getting into and out of this tent is super easy because the doors are gigantic. I mean, take a look here at the size of this door. With this tent here, you do have 2 doors, one here, one on the other side. With the fly, you can see how you can tie it up and you have access to these doors here. Being able to get inside and out of a tent is very important, but what's even more important is ventilation. This is a 3-season tent, meaning it's designed for the warmer months. Ventilation inside of this is fantastic. You have a ton of mesh surrounding this tent on the walls, at the top. You do have a bathtub floor, and that's going to protect you from splashback during heavy rain. The fly pulls away from the body at every single side, which promotes airflow. Airflow inside of this tent is really, really good. OneTigris has done a really good job of balancing this tent. With the fly, it goes down low enough to protect the inner, but it's not so low that it limits airflow. A lot of companies get this wrong, but luckily with this tent here, they got the balance right. So this is not only a very storm-worthy tent, but at the same time it's comfortable to be inside of it even when it's warm out because the ventilation is so good. Talking about ventilation, let's talk about condensation control. Because ventilation is so excellent in this tent, condensation is not an issue. The fly pulls away from the body, so even if there is condensation, which is possible with any tent, it's not going to be a problem. Next, everyone, let's say that you're out with the Jovian tent, you have your family with you, it's in the middle of the night, and a storm is coming your way. Is this tent going to leak? The answer is no. In my experiences, this tent has been 100% waterproof. Even with the vents open, even with strong winds, this tent has not leaked at all. I have to say, folks, I was worried about the vents, but I have no concerns any longer. With my testing, I had winds over 30 miles an hour. This tent was rock solid, even though it wasn't guyed out. It was only staked out around the perimeter. This tent did not budge. At the same time, with the wind-driven rain, these vents did not leak. In total, this tent saw 2 to 3 inches of rain over the course of a day, and it did not leak at all. So at least with my experiences, and that's all that I can talk about are my experiences, this tent is storm worthy, it is waterproof, and it does not leak. Next, let's talk about space. OneTigris claims this is a 4-person tent. Is it a 4-person tent? Yes, it is. Can 4 people sleep inside of this and have gear inside of the tent too? For 4 adults, no. For 2 adults, 2 kids, you can have some gear inside. Luckily, you do have vestibule space. For 2 people, without a doubt, there's enough space inside of this tent for 2 sleeping pads, all of that stuff, plus 2 chairs, maybe even a table. For 1 person, you're talking about overkill, but really nice overkill. You can have an entire setup inside of this tent because it's so large. Think about this. You have a sleeping pad, sleeping bag, table, chair, you can have a stove, you can have anything that you want to inside of this because it's so large. Going back to having 4 people inside of this shelter, I have to say, this tent does handle that many people with ease, and that's because of the design of the inner. The walls are relatively straight, which makes this tent feel so much bigger than your typical 4-person tent. As I mentioned before, this is a very well designed shelter, and for 4 people, you can certainly make it work. Where it really shines though is for 3 people and under. Concerning the storage bag, does the tent actually fit back inside of it? Yes, it does. The storage bag is without a doubt large enough to get the tent back into it. Thank God. So many companies get this wrong. I'm glad to see OneTigris got this right. As we are getting closer to the end of my pros list, we have to talk about the color, the appearance of this tent. The coyote brown with the black accents, it looks really, really good. I will say though, I do wish that OneTigris had an urban gray version of this tent available. But with that being said, this is a nice looking tent. It's not Teletubby colors. Nobody wants that. Yeah, this is sharp looking. Lastly, on my list of pros, value. This is a very large 4-person tent. It's very well made. It has all the features that you would want. It's waterproof, stormproof, and the ventilation is awesome. With all of that being considered, the value of this tent for $250, it's a deal, right? That's a bargain. For such high quality, high performance, in my opinion, it's a very good deal for sure. When it comes to cons, folks, I do not have any. This tent has checked every single box for me, and it's done nothing wrong. There's only one thing that I could just nitpick, and it's nothing more than a nitpick. When it comes time to set up the inner, you lay the poles over the top and you connect them to the grommets. The grommets are just a little bit too big for the pole ends, and there's a tendency for the poles to come out as you're setting up the tent. That is such a small thing, it's no big deal, and that's all I got as far as cons go. To wrap everything up, this tent really is an excellent performer. This is a tent for individuals who want high quality, good features, great ventilation. They also want a tent that is storm worthy. So if they go out by themselves, with their wife, with their dog, with their wife, dog, and kids, no matter what it is that you want to do with this tent, it's going to be able to handle what you're going out into. Like I said, it checks all the boxes, at least for myself. And I have no qualms at all about purchasing this tent. This is a fantastic tent through and through. And with that being said, let's go over some stats real quick. With the OneTigris Jovian tent, this is a 3-season shelter, which means it's designed for warm weather camping. It is a true 4-person tent. It is semi-freestanding, meaning that you can erect the body with a tent pole, but if you want the perfect pitch, you do have to stake out the door and the fly. Speaking of the fly, it is made from a 210 taffeta polyester. The inner is made from a 210 Oxford polyester. We have YNS zippers, aluminum poles, and aluminum tent stakes. The waterproof rating for the fly is 2,000. The waterproof rating for the floor is 5,000. When it's stored, it measures 21 inches long, 10 inches by 10 inches. When it's fully set up, it measures 81.6 inches long, 81.6 inches wide, and it has a peak height of 58.8 inches. The weight of this tent is 12.3 pounds, and again, the cost is $250. When it comes to OneTigris, I'm glad to see that they've made a very high quality 4-person tent. Basically, this means that they have a tent designed for basically any sort of camping scenario that you want to go out in. They have really good shelters that I've personally tested out that I can recommend. With that being said, I don't like everything that this company makes. In fact, over the last 2 years, I'm not sure if I really understand what they're doing with some of their products. The Mona, for an example, was such a weird tent. I appreciate the fact that the company's trying new things, but those new things have to make sense. Anyways, with the Jovian here, this is a true 4-person tent that performs very well, that will keep you safe when the weather turns nasty. When it comes to other shelters that the company offers, I would recommend checking out the Cosmito 2.0 if you're interested in a 2-person tent that has proven itself to be incredibly waterproof. They also have the Tetra, which is a very interesting teepee tent. If you haven't seen my review on that, make sure to check it out. And lastly, we cannot forget about the Stella. That is a 2-person wintertime tent, and it's an awesome performer, and the price is right. It makes a lot of sense. All of those shelters are truly excellent, and I can easily recommend them. I've purchased them, I tested them out, and I have all of my reviews on YouTube. So check those out if you are interested. And with that being said, everyone, I am done. Make sure to comment down below, share your thoughts. What do you all think about the Jovian? This would look awesome in a urban gray color, would it not? Right now I'm on an urban gray kick, just like these shorts here. You know what I'm saying? Alright everybody, I'm done. If you enjoyed this episode, do hit the thumbs up. I do appreciate it. Until next time, take care, be well, strength and honor. Bye for now.